Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Beer and Money. My name is Ryan Burklow.
And I'm Alex Collins.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about what your competing priorities are costing you.
And we'll get into like what a competing priority is and like what the various different costs are. But before we do that, what are you drinking today, Ryan?
So I went to Remlinger Farms yesterday, and they have a brewery there.
They do.
And so picked up Gary's Pale Ale. So Remlinger Farms is in Carnation. It's a little, not a little, it's actually quite a big farm with pumpkin patches, all that kind of fun stuff. But picked up their beer, and to my surprise, it's a lovely IPA.
Nice. Yeah. And if anybody hasn't been to Remlinger, it's kind of a cool little family experience. They've got a beer garden with some like a restaurant, and it's got some food and whatnot. But then they've also got a little entertainment park for kids of all ages, pumpkin patch, and you can even like fire off an apple cannon.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool spot. I was really pleasantly surprised. It's a 4.5% alcohol, so it's a lower alcohol especially for an IPA. But it's a solid one. If I'm going to give it a bottle cap rating, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10.
Cool. And I'm drinking Fremont's Sky Kraken. So this is a hazy IPA, clocks in at 5.5%. For anybody who's in the Pacific Northwest and isn't familiar with Fremont Brewing, shame on you. But Fremont Brewing is a great little brewery. I don't know that it's so little anymore, or hasn't been for quite a while. But this is just a great IPA.
Yeah, Fremont Breweries is an awesome one. Washington's full of great microbreweries, and Fremont is one of my favorites. That one's a solid one. What do you think of that one?
I think 9 out of 10 bottle cap rating. Yeah, this is it's just a very drinkable. You can see the clarity on it. It's that typical hazy IPA look. This is just a delicious beer.
And when you go to the Kraken game, they have it there, and it's called the Kraken. So it works out really well. So let's talk about this one, Alex, because I think you and I get really, really passionate about this one because it can mean so much. So competing priorities. We all have all of these responsibilities, right? Like Alex and I are both married with kids. We have a business, right? We've got so many different priorities, goals, however you want to classify or define that. Everything from sending your kids to college to, retirement to spending time with your wife and spouse and kids, right? Like being healthy. Like there's so much responsibilities that we have.
Well, and it feels like there are too many things and not enough time in the day.
And if you don't have these really kind of clarified, like really understanding like which ones are truly the top priorities and then organize them in such a way that it's built into your lifestyle, it costs you a lot and you may not even know it.
Well, there's also hidden costs. There are like so much of this falls into the categories of things that we don't know that we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got 5 costs here for you. And there's a ton more. These are just 5 of them. And so just kind of getting right into it here, Alex. Number 1 is this is most likely costing you money.
Undoubtedly. I mean, I can from what we do for clients, and like, while we know our segment of finance really, really well, like we're not doing everything for everybody. Like finance is too big of an industry, and like we can't deal with all of it. We deal with quite a bit of it, and we've got resources for folks for all the rest of it. But we find massive amounts of inefficiencies for folks where their money is leaking off their balance sheet, never to return.
When it's not even like financially like balance sheet related, I guess it all goes to the balance sheet, but not just like financial advising type related. Also, maybe you're not being as efficient in your job. That's costing you. Maybe you could have gotten a bonus, like extra salary, a different job that pays you more. Like it could leak into your performance at work.
Or like just buying groceries and having some of those groceries go unused, or like dining out, cook, like all of, like there are so many inefficiencies that people have when they're, not completely dialed in.
And so obviously money is the topic that Alex and I tend to really focus on, meaning our business. But what we've come to realize is money is just like a piece of the pie, and it's actually a smaller piece. It's really understanding what it is, what lifestyle, like living life on your terms. What does that really look like for you and your family?
And what we want to do is we want to sit down and help folks understand how to be as efficient and effective with what they're doing with their money, so that it frees up dollars to be able to do all of the rest of the stuff with.
100%. So money is number one cost, right? And not, maybe these aren't listed in any specific order. It's just, it's one of the costs.
It's how we came up with the list.
Yep. Number two, it's probably costing you time.
How many times have you gone back and reinvented the wheel? I'm obviously using that a little bit fictitiously, or sarcastically, but how many times have we gone through and redone a budget, or like re-looked at something that we're supposed to do, but didn't get fully completed the first time around. And so we have to redo it again and again and again, or we don't have a system in place to make sure that it's truly taken care of.
Yeah. When you have all of these responsibilities or priorities and you don't really have them organized in such a way to accomplish the top priorities, yeah, you're going to lose a bunch of time. Right. And that time goes in so many like areas of life: time for yourself, time at work, time, talking about money, which you and I talk about all the time. Right. It's not good. Right. It also, and this stems into number three, the time portion, it can have effect on memories and relationships in your life.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you're stressed about this stuff, how is that negatively impacting how you exist in the world with your friends, your spouse, your kids, being present in conversations versus worrying about the credit card bill or taxes or saving for college, or are you okay for retirement, or any of this stuff that we've kind of got bumping around in our head. Right. And if we're worried about something else, I mean, I'm reminded of a line from a movie that, like, you and I both love. Worry is like a rocking chair. It'll give you something to do, but you're not going to go anywhere.
I'm drawing a blank on the movie now, though. Like, what's the movie?
And of course, the movie just escaped me. It's Ryan Reynolds and the college movie.
Van
Wilder.
Van Wilder. Yeah. Yeah. No, great movie, great line, and truth, right? Like I'm just sitting with, prior to, like, anyone in general, right? Like, you've got these responsibilities, and some of them is a responsibility, but isn't a priority, right? Like, it eventually will be handled, and it doesn't have to be handled today. Whereas, or maybe even the thought of, do you have it handled, right? When it comes to money, right? Like, that can take up a bunch of time with family. You and I are really passionate about helping people get that time back with their family. And how many people are maybe not living in the moment? Maybe when they're on their vacation, they're actually staring at their cell phone rather than actually being with their kids and being in the beach. Like, I know when I was in Hawaii, it was actually a big, like, I was getting frustrating seeing all of these families glued to their cell phone in this gorgeous place and their kids running around. And it's just like, while I'm not them and I can't even imagine what's in their mind, I wouldn't want to miss a memory in Hawaii, at least with my family. And I don't think that's a lot. I think that's a lot of people. They want to remember that time when their kids are 2.
Right.
Or, and my kid's 15, right? I always want that memory in that relationship. I don't want to lose that relationship. And it's so huge.
Sienna just had a big project at school where she had a writing project and had to present it to the class. And unfortunately I wasn't able to attend, but thankfully my wife was. And what Sienna wrote about was our camping trip out to Ozette.
That's awesome.
And so like just getting to hear that she is passionate and enjoys and loves this thing in this place that I grew up going to and that I love going back to every year. And like one of the things that she's done this year is she started inviting other families to go out on this trip with us. And so it's one of those things where like, it's this really cool, special place for us, but she's going to get a chance to now share it with other families. And like, don't get me wrong, it's still going to be something that we get to do as a family, and there'll still be some protected family time, but like, oh my God, how special is it going to be that she gets to share it with some of her friends?
Yep.
And so
that's awesome.
Just to hear that, like to hear how excited and how passionate she is about this, like it makes my heart sing.
Right. And you spent that memory is clearly huge in her mind, and it's probably going to be for the rest of her life is my guess. Right. So
yep.
Do you really want to miss out on that? Right. Because of competing priorities, because you don't have them organized? I'm guessing no. Number 4, sleep, kind of important thing. Right. But how many of us have had sleepless nights because of stress around getting stuff accomplished?
Finance, time, just stuff, like being able to hit that off switch in our brain that allows us to go to sleep. Oh, like this has been a challenging year. And like, I can tell you that like my family, we've had some sleepless nights, not because of anything that like we've done, but because of external factors that we're dealing with. And now like, it's not just the lack of sleep, it's how that affects all of the other things. And so now like it makes decision-making that much more challenging. It makes being able to focus on the relationships and being present in the moment that much more challenging, which is going to negatively impact the time that I get to spend with my wife, with my kid, like how I show up to my friends, how I show up at work.
Isn't it funny how all of these, it just hit me, all 5 of these costs that we're going to talk about literally intermingle with one another.
And yet we want to put it all in our own silo and deal with them like independently, like, oh, no, like money and time have no relationship whatsoever. And it's like, really? Like, no, like you trade money for time and you trade time for money all the time.
It's funny. This is kind of taking us off a bit, but it really hit me. So I think it'd be important. I think it's valuable. So we'll see if our listeners think it's valuable. Someone said, it used to be said all the time, right? The saying was time is money. Mm-hmm. But invariably what's really more important is using our money for our time.
Yeah.
Like that's what actually is more important. Yet what was ingrained, at least in my head, was time is money, Ryan, time is money, right? Meaning like that moment I could be making more money. I could be doing something to make more money. And in the end, I would love to trade more of my money for time if I had the capacity to do it.
Well, and like we get in this, like, because the time is money, we get in this mentality of do it quickly, when in reality, it's probably going to take us more time if we don't focus and get it done right the first time.
Yeah. I mean, if that's not a reason enough to have your finances in order, I don't know what is.
Right.
So sorry, it goes into this, but I think it's a huge thing that at least hit me over the head this past weekend. Number 5 here, right? And this is legacy, right? And I think when people hear legacy, they always tie it to money, like what I'm leaving my kids financially speaking. I'm talking just in general, like what do you want your kids to remember about you? What do you want your kids to say? My father, my grandfather taught me this. Without learning X, I wouldn't be like, that's the legacy. I mean, finances in my life are important mainly because I want them to be able to utilize those assets to build on. Mm-hmm. But it's still legacy, like what I meant in their life.
What are the life lessons? How long are you going to be remembered? What are you going to be remembered for?
Like you want to be remembered for the parent that didn't spend much time with the kid. The answer to that question is unequivocally no, yet many of us parents are concerned about that.
Right. Like, I don't know about you, but something that happened over the weekend really just, it hit me in the face like a ton of bricks. Matthew Perry died.
Oh,
and
my entire family watches Friends. Like, I had my kids run downstairs, like everyone, it hit home hard.
Yeah. And here's someone who is not that much older than you and I, and like gone too early. And but you want to talk about a legacy, like, oh my God, he impacted so many lives through comedy and like just stories and bringing people together with what he did for a living.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's the legacy that we all want. Right. And at the same time, like, so much of this is just like, again, as you said, all of the other stuff fits into this component. And so, yeah, well, yes, legacy oftentimes from a financial standpoint means like more money and things of that nature. But I can guarantee you, like, the people that get all of the other stuff right at the beginning, the net result is that there's a bigger financial impact that you can make on everybody else's life because you focused on the other stuff and got time and money and relationships and sleep right.
It's what you're doing right now. I think the other aspect of legacy, people think of, oh, I'll deal with legacy 20 or 30 or 40 years from now when I'm about to die. It's like, it's too late at that point.
No. Your legacy is teaching your kids' softball team or coaching your kids' softball team.
It's what you're doing right now. Exactly. Yeah. And it's hard, right? I hope this isn't coming across as Alex and I have this nailed like perfectly. Like we are Mr. Perfect. That's not what we're saying.
We're humans.
What we are saying is we're aware of this. And I think too often we forget it, which is why we wanted to record it today. So just as a real quick recap, right? What's competing priorities costing you? Money, time, relationships with your families, memories with your family, sleep, legacy. And in our next episode, we're going to talk about solutions. How do we actually manage all of these different competing priorities? Which takes us to the question of the day, Alex.
Like, that might be a series, Ryan. I don't think it's going to be
we could
one solution
the whole
and
next
like,
year
done.
Could be it.
So like, please don't understand that like we're holding back the meaning of life. This is going to be like a series of how do we solve this. But our question today is, which of these costs like hit you in the face? Which one of these is impacting you that you like maybe are thinking differently about when you think about competing priorities now?
So head over to beerandmoney.net, and at the top of the page is a contact us. We'd love to hear some answers for this. Like, what did you learn from this? What are those costs that's associated with these competing priorities? If you got any value out of this, share with your friends, share with your coworkers, share with your family members, because the whole reason we started this podcast is for it to be a resource. And most of the time, I know when I learn something, I will bring it to Alex and we have a conversation about it, right? Maybe it's something he heard as well, hasn't heard, or even has heard, but it was a good reminder.
Or heard differently.
Exactly.
So like, there's so many times that Ryan brings something to me, and like when he brings it to me, I hear it in a different way and it sparks an amazing conversation. And we both wind up coming away from it significantly better as a result.
So yeah, beerandmoney.net, share it. We hope this episode was valuable for you. And as always, Mr. Collins.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not to be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice. Although the information has been gathered from sources believed to be reliable, please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon only when coordinated with individual professional advice. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by Park Avenue Securities, Guardian, or Quantified Financial Partners, and opinions stated are their own. Guardian, its subsidiaries, agents, and employees do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. Consult your tax, legal, or accounting professional regarding your individual situation. All investments and investment strategies contain risk and may lose value. This material is intended for general public use. By providing this content, Park Avenue Securities, LLC is not undertaking to provide investment advice or a recommendation for any specific individual or situation, or to otherwise act in a fiduciary capacity. Please contact a financial representative for guidance and information that is specific to your individual situation. Ryan and Alex are registered representatives and financial advisors of Park Avenue Securities, LLC. OSJ 200 Market Street, Suite 1850, Portland, Oregon 97201. Phone number 503-221-1226. Securities products and advisory services offered through Park Avenue Securities, member FINRA, SIPC. Financial representatives of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, Guardian, New York, New York. Park Avenue Securities is a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Quantified Financial Partners is not an affiliate or subsidiary of Park Avenue Securities or Guardian. Ryan Burklow, CA Insurance License Number 0K24924. Alexander Collins, CA Insurance License Number 0H24806. Pinpoint number 2023-163387. Expiration October 2025. Pinpoint number 2023-164807. Expiration November 2025.